Hey, Tom. We work with a lot of wealth management financial services firms, and most of them aren't really saying just we need better IT. They're also talking about the pains about compliance and risk and, how hard that makes things for them in their business. I wanted to run through a few things that we uncover and find providing services to these business and get a take from you on what good looks like.
Yeah, for sure, Nathan. So generally, when what people it's largely changed on why financial services firms, wealth management firms, everyone in this sector is coming to us, and a lot of it is driven by compliance and governance because
Mm,
that have that overlaid by them, whether that's through their license or insurance or what have you. So it's gone from, and obviously reputational risk. People are getting more and more concerned about cyber events and reputational risk. So it's multi-layered, but they're certainly coming to us for all those reasons, and rightly so. And we're seeing that a lot of businesses, even larger businesses, are largely not prepared. And they've either gone one of two ways. They've either sort of hoped the problem's gone away, which of course it's never going to go away. Or we also see the other end of the spectrum where, there's been a lot of complexity brought into an organisation, which has conversely reduced their ability to operate because of so much process and
mm,
complexity in regards to the cyber environment. So what we endeavour to do is make sure that what environment and operating environment is the organisation needing to comply with. That's obviously first and foremost, whether you need that from a regulatory perspective, a license perspective, as mentioned. Then also try and overlay all those things that need to be done from a cyber governance risks perspective to make sure that there's a number of things and levers that we can pull to make their lives easier, not harder.
mm,
So that's
mm.
part of the bigger picture as well, because a lot of this stuff, people come to us and say, "Well, we need to comply with this stuff. What can you do for us?" Which we can do, no problems at all. We can do it with our eyes shut. However, it's also looking at the business and saying, "Okay, well, where can we streamline?" Whether that's from a systems
Mm.
perspective or access perspective or what have you. So that's generally why organisations are coming to us at the moment.
And talking about that making things easier for the financial services businesses, if a firm had an ASIC review or an audit tomorrow, what do you think are some of the things that they should be able to produce quickly?
Well, it's interesting. If you're coming to us straight away because of an audit, we can move fast. But what I always say to people, if they're listening or watching to this, is get started now, because it's very hard to go back in time and prove governance and compliance over a period. Yes, you can get it up to speed in a relatively short period of time. There's some things we can't. That needs the journey of time to get that done. But more and more what we're seeing from a governance and risk perspective from these licensing auditors or insurance is that runway. So what have you been doing in
Mm,
particularly the last 12 months? And can you show maturity in that level? So you've got to get it done before someone comes knocking
mm,
with the audit, because they're going to say, okay, well, yeah, you've scrambled here. You've got things in order, which is great, which is certainly better
mm,
than the alternative of not doing anything. But it really
mm,
is about this runway and showing that, yes, we've had these things in place. These things come up. For example, we had for an organisation a 0-day exploit. What do I mean by that is a software provider had unfortunately a exploit in their software, which needed to be patched. But those organisations that were affected by that 0-day exploit, we can show that we identified it, we analysed it, we covered the risk. We put things in place to mitigate that based on the recommendations in play and the risk at play. So that's what they're looking for is that runway.
yeah. Okay. And for being able to build and demonstrate that runway, what are some of the things that we're doing there to not just have it so that it's a once a year activity, but an ongoing, provable process for them to go through and just demonstrate?
Big question and a lot to it, but I mean, it all starts with our process of constantly assessing the organisation. So going through our managed IT process, which is sitting down with our technical delivery manager that's assigned to your business and
Mm,
constantly analysing the risk. And that's from everything from the devices you've got in place, the software you've got in place, your Microsoft 365 posture,
mm,
cyber insurance. So there's a lot more to it than those sorts of things, but that's a very managed approach to what we do. And then it just rolls on from there in terms of, what do we do day in, day out, week by week, whether that's compliance reporting in terms of, looking at the risk on machines and vulnerability reporting that that our team looks at every day. So
Mm.
that's a big one. But it's a multi-pronged approach, and it's a collaborative approach. It's got to be, because it's, we will identify things that we can take care of as your IT provider, but there's also a number of things in terms of policy that you need in place, whether that's, every organization's got privacy policies, but, do they have
Mm.
policies in regards to AI governance, for example, which is now becoming a big one. So we need to
Yeah.
work with the organization to make sure that they've got those policies in place. People understand those policies. Are they being actually governed, when there is an incident? We're seeing that more and more. So leaning upon those policies. So there are a number of things, but it all comes out of in our managed process on a week-to-week and month-to-month basis.
Yeah. Correct. From an access point and, protection, data, privacy, a lot of, questioning that we get talked through with businesses understanding who can actually access the client data. What should firms be thinking about in a practical way to manage this and mitigate the risk here?
Yeah, I'll pick out one particular thing that we're seeing time and time again. Like any business, and particularly organisations in this particular sector, every single business has got logins to countless platforms, whether
Mm.
they are vendor providers for marketing or governance or compliance, whether they're financial planning platforms, whatever they might be. I think every business underestimates how many platforms they've got until they start to actually tally
Mm.
them up. And what we
Yeah.
see is that a lot of organisations that come to us have never gone through an audit process of who's accessing what, who's actually got access to what. So just a very basic audit process. And we handle that once the audit's been done through a very, very stringent onboarding and offboarding process that's fully automated. It's not reliant on human intervention. But then the next layer on that is going, okay, well, you're either in Microsoft 365 or in Google Workspace, is utilizing those logins to tie those platforms, so that if you do
Mm.
have an onboarding, you're not needing to offboard into 20, 30, 40 systems. I know that sounds a lot, but it gets there very quickly.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely.
You're disconnecting one profile, which is the Microsoft 365 or the Google Workspace profile, and then that flows onto all the other platforms, and those people can't access it. So it's as simple as that, but it's something that is, I don't think we've ever been into an organisation where we take on a lot of new business, where we do these full audits, where we've done the audit and people go, I did not realise, not only have we not activated, but we've actually had people still accessing this information that have no longer worked for them for 2 months, 6 months, 12 months. I've even seen cases for 5 years that someone has been accessing data that they shouldn't, or systems, or gaining utilising subscriptions that they shouldn't. And this can be all eliminated with good automation and good tech.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of opportunity there just with the sprawl and the amount of systems that people and businesses have as well, just from a cost optimization point of view as well, right?
100%. Oh, we see that as well. Yeah, that's sort of the added bonus from the audit, where you generally get a cost reduction.
What are some of the things you just talked about, like a specific scenario there where multiple people may still have access to systems because everything's so spread out, disparate, managed in different ways? What are some of the other things that you'd say are big surprises that we find with clients as we're onboarding them or taking them through our process that
Yeah,
they find with their IT?
I think the biggest one is just where customer and client information sits, where they don't know. That comes back again to good audit and governance and compliance, once you've got it right, to maintain it. But he's really assessing, okay, where is all the information sit? We see countless times, Nathan, people come to us and we've done an audit and we say, did you realise that Billy 3 years ago has created a separate Google Drive or a box.com account, and we can see all this sprawl of information, and the organisation had no idea.
Yeah.
Often it's those accounts, because they're not, they were never set up properly. They don't have MFA turned on them, basic passwords, probably saved in Chrome or, some sort of random platform, and there's just customer data sitting out there everywhere, and it's at risk. So we see that a hell of a lot, and just getting control of your data. Once you've got control of your data, then you can utilise it. And I'll add to this, which is not related to your question, but it's becoming hugely important. We're seeing it in our business in particular, and every business we work with, is because so many people are using AI platforms and leveraging the information they've got, quality of data. And we've always known this. Every business owner and people that work in businesses know that information quality is important. It's becoming even more important because the information that you've got is now so accessible. So you don't want bad information or old information. You want things properly archived, properly segmented away. We're seeing so much people looking at data within SharePoints or Google Drives or what have you, getting access to information that on surface level they shouldn't have access to, and they can't. But because AI systems are interrogating the information at a company level, they're then getting information to it, payroll information, contractual information about other employees. So getting that foundation right is absolutely crucial. And it's not hard. This process is not a hard process, but you need someone like our very stringent process that we go through, and it's part of our onboarding process. And again, it's continual to get it right from day one. But it's not hard.
So we also work in that wealth management space a lot with family offices as well, which have unique needs and a little bit different. Do you want to talk about some of the things that we've been doing there and finding there?
Yeah, for sure, Nathan. So we look after and have done for a number of years a number of prominent private family offices across Australia and New Zealand and even internationally. And we look after all of their IT and a lot of their IT within the subsidiary-owned businesses as well. And they're a unique situation that needs a lot of care. There's a lot of privacy. They generally, obviously the name private family office is private. They generally fly under the radar. They're significant organisations with significant holdings. So obviously it goes to say security is vitally important. Privacy is vitally important. So we never publicly mention to anyone the work that we do for these types of family offices. But they're quite unique in their nature in terms of they're often dealing with significant deal flow in terms of data rooms. So getting access to data rooms, they a lot of the time deal with other private family offices. So we see a lot of cross work with family offices, and their requirements from a tech perspective, from just a individual tech perspective, is unique as well. These people are flying often internationally, doing a lot of travel and a lot of meetings and what have you. So our unique model of being able to service the key people in these family offices is very individualized. It's very unique. And we've nailed that. So, if you are a business or a family office that is operating and has just sort of got by, and we see often family offices come to us and IT sort of has been a sort of a byproduct of a service and they just got by with it, but we generally do a lot of work. We've got we can provide a lot of referral on a confidential basis of the work that we've done where we've improved not only the operational side of the office in terms of how they work from an IT perspective and efficiency and what have you, but just very much service levels from knowing the ins and outs of how these essentially very large businesses work. So I'd encourage anyone, we generally speak to the CEOs or the CFOs or the owners of these family offices.
Wrapping up, if there was 3 key things that you would recommend to the types of businesses that we're talking about, the wealth management, the financial services firms, the family offices, what would be the top 3 things that they should go and look at in their IT today?
Yeah, I think the biggest one, the first one that comes to mind is deal with someone that deals with your industry. We focus on 3 industries. This is one of them for a reason. It's unique that your provider, and obviously, us as an IT provider in this space, we know the systems, we know the processes, we know what's urgent and what's important to the industry. So that's the first really big one is get someone in the industry that just knows the industry, because if you're picking up the phone to your IT provider and they just don't know the ins and outs of your industry, it's going to be very, very hard. And likewise, when it comes to which is my second point, the governance, risk and compliance, if your IT provider is not in that dealing with this stuff in this industry all the time, it's very hard to comply with the unique components that is required right across the wealth management space. And there's some nuances to that. Obviously, there's accounting and financial planners and family offices, and they all have their similar in their requirements. But somewhat different because they all have different
Mm-hmm.
compliance requirements. And the other thing is that I'll notice is service is still a really big one, Nathan, in terms of this industry, as we really pride ourselves on, not only the quality but the speed of service. Something that we've really taken to market is instant chat support in our Microsoft Teams or Slack agent, and getting access to the engineers that can service them really, really quickly. Because let's be honest, in this industry, there's a lot of time constraints. Clients are
Yeah.
generally coming to it. I mean, I did it with my accountant yesterday. I needed something and I needed it quick for an application for something, and I needed it quick. I expected, speed, and our clients in this sector expect speed from us. That's why we put in place chat. You can get instant support from people that know what they're doing and talking about, and then, all the other stuff that we overlay in terms of the automation, to get your people humming along even better. So there are three things out of probably a dozen areas which we focus on for this sector, but probably the three most important.